Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, welcome to Drawing with Mr. Sepulveda. I'm Mr. Sepulveda, and today I've got for you another redraw episode. This character was submitted in by a young artist named Makenzie Davis. The character's name is 1007. His age is unknown, and he essentially has telekinetic abilities. And he has to have a giant big sword with him so that he can strike down his foes, strike down his opponents, strike down his target. Okay, so when I looked at Makenzie's artwork, I couldn't help but notice that she had a really cool big cloak on her character. When I saw that cloak, the first thing that kind of came to mind was like Attack on Titan, and so I was thinking that might be kind of like the way that I was going, where there was like an Attack on Titan, or maybe even like an elf kind of character, especially looking at the hair. The way that she had her hair was really cool, and so I wanted to keep the same shape, except I wanted to make sure that I was like overlapping a bunch of strands of hair and trying to give him almost like a half-shaved head look, where all the other hair is just kind of coming over that eye, kind of making him menacing, right? We can only see the one eye, just like she has on her particular character, right? And when I was looking at this character, I really wanted him to kind of have his hands shown. Like, she erased the hands on her picture, but I wanted them to kind of use the hands in a way where we could tell, like, this is where part of the magic of the telekinesis is coming from. I do go through those hands a couple times over until I find the shape that I like. So this won't be the first time you'll see me in this video go through these hands, which is alright, but I wanted them to kind of like just kind of show power and precision, right? I had a lot of fun trying to figure out how the folds and wrinkles in the cloak would work. So that's why you can see like the skeleton underneath, and I was trying to figure out that arm and how that was going to realistically go in that arm, if I had to have the arm coming out in a pocket right behind his back. I didn't know what I was going to do with it, but I was trying to play around with the idea that I was either behind him or just kind of hanging low as the other hand is kind of coming up, controlling the giant sword, right? So since my mind was on Attack on Titan and kind of like the like an elf type of fantasy, I was thinking woodsy colors, right? Like a woodsman, so greens and browns were the colors that I was primarily going with. And at first, and you'll see it shortly, I thought the telekinesis needed a cool kind of color to show that that's the route that the power is going, and I choose a color that I'm not so satisfied with. Like, you'll see, like right here, I've got a whole green and brown motif going on, right? I even made sure that the skin tone wasn't too pale, because I felt like the pale skin wouldn't work well with the browns and green colors that I was using. But I ended up choosing a pink color. I ended up changing it in post, and you'll see that in a little while. Right here, what you're seeing is me trying to figure out where all the shadows are going. And I do a lot of cell shading, and so when I do my cell shading, I normally use a lasso tool that'll fill it in automatically versus me trying to manually put in the shadows and what I think the shadows would look like, just manually, right? So I'm just using a lasso tool to kind of create a shape and letting it fill in those areas that I believe have the shadow, okay? And so I'm trying to have all that hair kind of show at its roots as it's coming over his head. I did notice a little bit closely on her character, it had a scar, and so I wanted to make sure that the scar was there, and I wanted it to look like a scar that's been there with like some skin versus not there, right? Right here, I learned a little trick where if you're trying to draw fingernails, the fingernails have like an indent, and so that's why I was making those lines a little bit thinner where the nails were, but thicker where the skin was, right? Here I'm adding in the light source and that energy coming off of his eye. Makenzie left some information about there being some sort of a circle or an energy around his eye, and so again, I thought maybe pink would be the option, the way to go, but it doesn't work. It doesn't look as nice. So in post, I ended up turning it yellow because I felt like green and yellow work a little bit more in harmony together than that pink does, right? Over here you guys see that I created a perspective grid using a perspective ruler in Clip Studio so that I could draw a sword that was kind of coming down or about to strike 1007's opponent, right? Makenzie did have a stick figure drawing, kind of maniacal, where it had some blood coming from it, right? So I wanted to make sure that was kind of evident here as well. And so you'll see me try to draw some speed lines for it, just to kind of show like, oh, this sword's in motion, it's coming out at the target, right? And so I wanted to go ahead and do that with some of the colors. And I also wanted to make sure that there was like the energy, right? The color of the telekinetic energy coming from around the sword, like its aura, right? So that you knew, hey, this sword is being moved with power. I use a gradient to try to figure out what the background is going to look like. I mess around with a few effects here and there, and then try to draw in some speed lines again, just on the outside, just to kind of draw the viewer's attention to that sword, and that it was in fact in motion and not sitting still. It's not stationary, okay? So hopefully you'll enjoy the finished product. For those of you guys that want to submit in your artwork to me for me to redraw, please hit the My Links button on my YouTube banner and click the email icon and submit in your artwork that way. Just give me your name, a character description, and of course the picture of your character, and I'll make sure that I eventually get to them here on this channel. Makenzie Davis, I really hope you enjoy this art piece. And for everybody else, if you guys liked it, please hit the thumbs up button, right? Please hit the like button. And if you're new to this channel, go ahead, subscribe, hit that bell for notifications, and stay up to date with new content. Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, that's it for me. I'll see you all in the next video. You guys have a good one. Bye-bye.